Hello, this is a video lesson of your example illustration essay. This is week 2, and to find information on your example illustration essay, please scroll down and look for Module 4. Now, Module 4, there's several resources I think that you'll find helpful. Notice the printouts. Absolutely print those out as a reference this week. And the view, please at least read or view those modules that have view behind them. So just for example, the example illustration essay overview and handout, I'm going to show you what that looks like. This is just a document that overviews the assignment as a whole. Okay. Now, as far as the example illustration, you can probably guess that this is an essay where you're going to be offering various types of examples to prove a point. Now, most of your inexperienced writers, they just use kind of their just general thoughts, the ones that just first pop into their mind, or just really broad observations that anyone could observe to support their ideas or arguments. I want you, however, to be an experienced writer, and you vary your examples. Now, most of you already use really good personal experience examples, those from your own personal life that you've dealt with. However, I want you to start to navigate toward other types of examples, such as typical case, hypothetical, generalized, or dramatic. And we're going to overview those different types of examples in just a moment. Now, as far as for your topic for this particular essay, you have two options. Your first option is you can discuss 2-degree programs. So let's just say, for example, you're torn between studying English education and maybe journalism. Okay, you could write an essay where you just look at those 2 particular degree programs and you look at maybe the years of study. How long is it going to take you to actually, complete a degree in that program? The number of classes that you may have to take to complete the program. The cost of the programs. Sometimes that's a major deciding factor in why you choose one degree program or the other, because of the amount of education you have to have. It costs money and also certain fees involved. Also, there's certain colleges that offer those programs that you may need to mention. And also later when you graduate, the types of jobs that you may be able to work with that degree. So that's your first option. Your second option is you can choose between 2 professions that maybe you are considering. Let's maybe discuss whether you would be torn between being a dentist or a dental hygienist. You could discuss maybe the types of educational degrees that would be required to work those professions, the salary ranges that would be, of course, different between those 2 programs and jobs, and then also the job availability and types of promotions that you could have with those particular jobs. Now, definitely do research into those 2-degree programs or 2 job professions. It's going to help you be more knowledgeable as you consider these 2 decisions, depending on which topic you choose. Now, I'm hoping you quickly realize that many of our assignments this semester, I'm hoping that these are really life decisions that you're currently making. Maybe you're debating particular degree programs or colleges that you want to attend, or you're debating which profession you want to go into in the future. And I'm hoping that, again, that these essays will be beneficial to you to research and become informed before you make these major decisions. Okay, now as far as just other information, now the link of this essay, I know in the lecture about a standard structured essay, it said usually a standard structured essay is 5 paragraphs. You may end up having a 4-paragraph assignment for this particular essay. And just remember that your length and structure needs to have at least 4 to 5 paragraphs with an introduction paragraph, 2 body paragraphs, 2 to 3 body paragraphs depending on your length, and a conclusion paragraph. And I kind of overview each of these sections. Also, I have offered for you, if you go back to Canvas, there is an example illustration essay outline. If you click on that outline, you're going to have this. Now, this just hopefully will be helpful to you to actually start developing your essay structure. Now, your first paragraph, that's going to be your introduction paragraph. You need to have some type of lead-in or attention getter. Again, it might be where you ask a question, you define a term, maybe you define the 2 professions. Maybe you just give informative information, the 2 degrees what are those 2 degrees? What types of jobs could someone work with those degrees? You may give a quotation from someone very famous who worked within one of those fields. And of course, your bridge, your transitional sentence, to be a little bit more specific to the actual idea of the essay, and then your thesis statement. Now, I wanted you to actually see an introduction paragraph. If you go to Canvas, you're going to see that there is an example illustration essay student example. This is, of course, letter C. You can view it or you can print it out. And let me show you that essay. Now, one thing you're going to notice is I have notes on this essay, but you're not going to write these notes on yours. Yours is going to be submitted to me just in typed form. Now, as I said with your diagnostic essay, all of your test essays need to be submitted in this format where you have your header is your student's last name, your first and last name, my name, the course code, and the date, which would be, of course, this coming Sunday's date. And that needs to be your MLA heading and then your MLA header. Now, as far as your essay title, it may be the title of the 2 professions. It may be the title of the 2 degrees. Okay, or if you just want to use a collective word or statement that overviews both, you can do that as well. Now, you're going to notice right here, we have a lead-in. Okay, what is the difference between a medical laboratory technician and a medical laboratory technologist? That's the lead-in, is asking a question. Okay, then we're getting into the transitions. Many individuals are confused in their differences since both occupations work within the medical field and share a similar goal, helping physicians diagnose medical disorders and life-threatening diseases through analyzing bodily fluids, operating clinical laboratory equipment, and managing physical automated tests using computerized instruments and other tools. That's the bridge. It's kind of defining how the 2 occupations are similar. And then right here we have the thesis statement. Although these 2 professions' duties are very similar, there are vast differences between them, such as their salaries, educational levels, and job opportunities. Now, this is your thesis statement. Now, this particular student is focusing on the differences between the 2 occupations, but maybe you want to focus on the similarities between the occupations. That's fine. You can do that. Now, her particular points that she's going to be discussing in her body paragraphs are the salaries of the 2 professions, the educational levels of the professions, and the job opportunities of the professions. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to discuss the professions in relationship to those points. You may have other points that you want to overview. Also, this is technically a 3-point thesis statement where it lists the body paragraph's points, but you don't have to do that. You could just say there are vast differences between them and end it there, and then go into the actual specifics in your topic sentence. So I just want you to know you have an option. Now, as far as what you're going to be then doing, I'm going to go back to the outline, is you're going to have at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 body paragraphs. You need to have a topic sentence that overviews the first degree or career choice. You're going to have some sentences clarifying what that field or what that degree is. Also examples, details. I'm going to give you some examples of those in just a bit, and a concluding sentence. And that's going to be for your first body paragraph, which is the second paragraph, and your second body paragraph, which is your third paragraph. And I did want to show you an example in the student essay. Okay. The most obvious point of contrast between medical laboratory technicians and medical laboratory technologists is their salaries, which vary according to an individual's education experience. Now, this would be the topic sentence. It's overviewing that first point, which is the salary. Okay. Notice if we go down to the very next body paragraph, it does the same thing with the other occupation. As previously mentioned, medical laboratory technicians and medical laboratory technologists differ in their salaries, and that would be the next topic sentence for the second paragraph. Now, you're going to notice I have different types of examples labeled. Now, you might not know what in the world these examples are, so I did want to kind of clarify these. Now, you don't have this whole Prezi presentation available because I use it for my in-class students, and we sometimes do different topics than my online classes, but I wanted you to understand the different topics. So just remember, an example essay is, of course, also known as an illustration essay, also known as an illustration or exemplification essay, and I'm going to expect you to use various types of examples. Okay, most of you already use personal experience. Now, if you use personal experience examples in this essay, I just want to give you some examples. You may know someone who has the particular college degree that you're considering, or you know someone who works within the particular field that you're considering, the professions. You can actually talk about those individuals and what, like, you've heard about the profession or heard about the degree. Another type of example, typical case. Now, this is where your research is going to come in. You're likely going to have researched maybe 2 degree programs or 2 jobs. Now, for the degree programs, you're probably going to be going to some college websites, which are usually .edu websites, but you may want to go to other websites which actually discuss different degrees and different college options. Try to have those .edu, .org, or .com websites that are credible, not like Wikipedia. That would be, of course, a non-credible source. Now, for an essay about job possibilities for yourself, Bureau of Labor Statistics, its website is bls.gov. It's an awesome place to go for salary ranges and also promotions and just statistics on the 2 jobs that you may be considering. Okay. Another type of example is hypothetical. For an essay that's talking about the degree programs, you could talk about potential locations of study, certain colleges or universities that offer the program. So those would be, you know, just hypothetical ways you could attain that particular degree. Also for the essay on the jobs, the professions, you could talk about the potential places of employment where you could work, certain companies, if you want to give examples of that, because that's hypothetical scenarios of where you could go to school or where you could work. Another type of example is a generalized example. These are just kind of the most commonplace. For the essay on the educational degrees, what are the popular colleges or universities where most people attend for this program? Especially if you're a resident of Mississippi or Alabama, you know, what are the popular colleges where people go to get those degrees? On the other hand, for the jobs essay, the majority of people who go into that profession, do they work at certain locations? Do they have particular duties? Do they have certain salary ranges? You know, what's the average or median salary range? That's generalized, okay? Also, a final type of example. This one's a unique example because any of the other 4 examples could be dramatic. Just for example, a hypothetical example that could be dramatic. If you're writing an essay about degree programs, you could receive a scholarship and your whole education could be fully paid for. Okay, you could give, a hypothetical example of dramatic scholarships that could pay for your whole college education. Okay, so give those possibilities. Also for the job or profession essay, you could give me the highest salary range. Hypothetically, if you got this particular, job, if you worked your way up with promotions, could you make 6 figures? What would that be? So think about these different examples. Again, I'm not necessarily going to expect you to use all of these examples, but I think it will help you in using as many as possible. If you look at the student essay, you're going to notice that this particular student, she does have research. Now, if you use information from a website, or from, another source, you need to credit it. If you take the language, like copy and paste it directly from the website, put quotation marks around the language. If you take out anything, use the ellipsis if you take out a word or words. If you change anything, if maybe the verb was could and you changed it to can, you need to put brackets around that. Also, give credit where you found it. Notice here, there's a last name, Rauner. If I go down here to the Works Cited page, I know that Rauner is this author right here. Now, also, there's 2 other websites mentioned. You're going to notice in other parts, Indeed.com, okay? That's a website that's referenced here, and this is the publication information. Also, that College Calculator, that is a website. This is an article, 2019 College Cost Guides and Price Rankings, okay? All of these websites are referenced. So you're going to notice they're alphabetically listed on the Works Cited. And then this is called a Works Cited page at the end of the essay. But if I scroll up into the essay, these are in-text documentation. In the text of the essay, I know that this came from Indeed.com. Notice this is paraphrased information this particular student found, locations where someone could work with this. This right here is actually what's called a block quote. This student took all this information directly from a website. Now she did add some information and change some things, added some